Hello everybody, you're welcome back again to the Reggae Appreciation Society. In April 1979, a founding member of UK reggae band UB40 left the group in one of the most mysterious circumstances in reggae music history. It's very common for musical groups to go through lineup changes during their lifetime, and quite a number of these happen before the band achieves success. One of the most well-known examples of this is the dramatic story of Junior Braithwaite, founding member of the Wailers. We did a feature about him in a previous video, and we left a link at the end of this one for those interested in learning more about his life. The subject of today's video is a story like no other, with elements of royal family politics, traditional feuds, and suspected black magic. Let's take a look at the bizarre story of the African prince who missed out on becoming a global superstar with UB40. It's no exaggeration to describe UB40 as one of the most commercially successful reggae bands of all time. They're definitely the best-selling reggae band out of the UK. Most reggae fans can recognize the group's founding members in brothers Robin and Ali Campbell, Earl Falconer, Brian Travers, Jimmy Brown, Norman Hassan, Mickey Virtue, and Terence Astro Wilson. But what most don't know is that an A-level student who was the prince of a royal family from a ruling house in southwestern Nigeria was part of the original nucleus of the group. The origins of what would become UB40 began when Ali Campbell, Jimmy Brown, and Earl Falconer began to rehearse reggae songs together. One day in the fall of 1976, the three guys were drinking at a pub called the Fighting Cocks. They'd been unemployed since finishing high school, and like lots of jobless youth in that neighborhood, they would spend a portion of their welfare payment on liquor to pass the time. But one fine day, they were downing a pint when they were greeted by the strange sight of an African teenager in a three-piece suit, complete with an umbrella, who stepped into the pub for a drink. This overdressed lad was Prince Yomi, future heir to the throne of the Bogon Kingdom. His father, then the Crown Prince Solomon Babayemi, had in the previous year moved his family to the UK after getting a scholarship to study for a doctorate degree at the University of Birmingham. Prince Yomi had been enrolled at a local high school to study for his A-levels, and while heading home one day, the freezing weather forced him into a bar for a shot of brandy. His outfit drew some laughs from patrons of the pub. Ali, Jimmy and Earl in particular taunted Yomi's outfit for a while, but ended up inviting him to sit at their table, and they quickly became friends. From that day, he became a regular at the Fighting Cocks and would stop by every day after school to hang out with his new pals, especially when he found out that they were interested in starting a band. The band began to take shape at the end of 1977 when the four of them began to rehearse in the cellar of Earl Falconer's home, with Ali Campbell on vocals and guitar, Earl Falconer on bass, Jimmy Brown on drums, and Yomi Babayemi on percussion. The band rehearsed daily until the fall of 1978 when they officially formed the band UB40, naming it after an unemployment benefit form. The band got to play their first gig on the 9th of February 1979 at the Hares and Hounds pub. The event they played at was the birthday of Prince Yomi's then girlfriend, Susie Vati. She had thrown a party at the pub and invited her boyfriend and his band to perform. It was a well-received performance, and everything began to look up for the band from there. Yomi was a gifted percussionist, and along with the band, had said to have delivered one hell of a show. However, there was some trouble brewing back home between Yomi and his father, the Crown Prince. You see, Yomi had always been brought up under the strict guidance of his parents back in Nigeria, but after moving to England, the lad began to shake up the rigid control of his folks. He started hanging out in the streets, smoking herb, and rubbing shoulders with the vast legion of music-loving youth in Birmingham, many of whom would become big names in UK reggae a few years from then. He had ditched his studies and was progressively spending more time on the road, playing more gigs as UB40's street cred kept on growing. His father had a very low opinion of what he was doing, and in several fiery face-offs told his son that he was a disgrace to the family. After numerous clashes with his parents, Yomi left home and moved in with his girlfriend. That same year, his father had bagged his PhD and was preparing to take his family back to Nigeria. But as the family was leaving, Yomi refused to go back to Nigeria with his folks. His father, who was now back home, was set to ascend the throne in a very short time. And as word of Yomi's exploits in Birmingham kept filtering back to him, the old man was furious and embarrassed at the idea of his first son dropping out of school to play reggae music with his layabout friends, and was said to have employed dark supernatural means, or juju, to make his son come back home. In April 1979, just 2 months after their first gig, Prince Yomi went home to Susie's flat, dead tired after a rocking concert at the University of Birmingham. According to Yomi, in a 2017 interview with Le Monde Africa, while sound asleep, he heard a commanding and irresistible voice summoning him to return to Nigeria. He got up uncontrollably like a zombie and without a word to Susie, quietly got dressed, packed a few things and headed to the Birmingham airport, and from there found his way back to Nigeria. Prince Yomi virtually disappeared out of the lives of his girlfriend and bandmates, and with him nowhere to be found, the band replaced him with Norman Hassan and released their debut album, Signing Off, a year later in 1980. He left just as the band was about to break out into national and international success. His father, with his reputation saved, could now ascend to the throne in peace and was crowned king in 1981. Yomi was now forced to enroll in school in Nigeria and would bag a Bachelor of Arts in 1984. And UB40 by then were worldwide superstars, mostly off the success of their smash single Red Red Wine and the monster album Labour of Love. Among the places where UB40 was especially big was in Nigeria, and all through his years in university, Yomi kept his story about his time as a member of the group a secret, as he felt nobody would believe him, and he admitted to falling into deep depression in those days. But with his degree all wrapped up, and after several pleas to his father, the king gave his consent for Yomi to visit the UK for a week, almost exactly 5 years after disappearing without a trace. The second he landed in the UK, he rushed to a phone booth and called Earl Falconer's phone. Earl was at home and picked up the phone. The second he heard Yomi's voice, he yelled in excitement and arranged for him to come down to the studio and meet up with the band. He got a hero's welcome from his old friends and bandmates, and they partied non-stop for 5 whole days. He described those as the happiest 5 days of his life, but in that time, he also came to terms with the fact that his spot in the band as a percussionist had been filled magnificently by Norman Hassan. It was a cathartic and therapeutic experience, and he finally made his peace with his father, looking forward to the future and all the new things it would bring. He would return to the UK again in 1986 to study for a master's degree in performing arts at the University of Birmingham. After completing his studies, he went on to have a successful career as an international entertainment consultant. Now a family man with a wife and 3 kids, he looks back very fondly on his time with the band and is today highly convinced that it was his destiny to leave UB40 when he did, and as the first son is in line to be the next king of the Bogon Kingdom. He's still in touch with his old friends from UB40 and meets up with them every now and then, and was said to have been all torn up when the band split up in 2014. To most of us, his missed opportunity to be a part of one of the greatest success stories in reggae music reads as something of a sad story. But Prince Yomi's acceptance of the outcome, as well as his subsequent success in his subsequent life path, is very comforting. The truth is that Jah knows best. When he is crowned king, I wouldn't be too surprised if he summons the entire old gang for one more performance. Who knows, he might even give the percussion a go one last time. So there you have it. Thank you for watching the video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, Jah bless.